Today I will be playing the role of Jonathan Redden. I would like to invite all children to come up for the beginning of this sermon, please. Okay. Does anybody know what today is? What is special about today?
Mother's Day.
What?
It's Mother's Day.
Yes, it's Mother's Day. Okay. So, raise your hands if you have a mom. Anybody out there have a mom? All right. Has your mom ever done anything nice for you that you can think of? Yeah? This is a tough one. Got you stuff when you asked for it? Anything else?
She gives me love.
Gives you love. And they take you, drive you around, yeah? All right. Raise your hand if you love your mom. Okay. I think we need to tell them because it is Mother's Day. So on we're going to say, we're not going to say, we're going to shout, I love you, Mom. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. I love you, Mom. Oh, we can do better than that. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. I love you, Mom. Okay, now, it is Mother's Day, but we can't leave the dads out, right? That's not fair. Okay, we got to do it for the dads, too. So ready? On 3, we're going to say, I love you, Dad. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I love you, Dad. Okay, all right. Now, I think we should all go give them hugs. Let's go give our parents hugs. Come on, guys. There you go. Okay. I love kids because they have this ability to be happy under any circumstances. And that is something that I love about myself. I try my best to find reasons to be happy. I feel like I have my parents to thank for that because they both showed me how to look at a situation from many sides. So even if parts of it sucked, it was either, well, this person's actually got it worse, or, but we still got to do this, you know? Okay, for example, I was working 6 days a week at this job in Kentucky Kingdom. I was doing a performing job last summer, and it was pretty bad. It was actually one of the best jobs to have in the park because we did a 15-minute show and then sat in a dressing room for like an hour and a half and played cards. But the actual logistics was we had something changed every single day for like a month. We didn't have a schedule of shows for the first 2 weeks. It was just, when are we showing up tomorrow? And that was awful. But I got a lot of performance experience from it, and I got a lot of good memories made, and I made some money, so that's the real kicker, but we don't like to talk about that very much, so. But anyways, just through experiences I've had with my sister or my best friends or my church or my family, I have tried to spread happiness. Like, I don't want to be the kind of person that brings negativity into the world. I want to find a way to bring joy into the world. And one of the best ways you can do that is have a kid, right? I didn't really realize that I loved this part about myself until I went through a bit of a struggle. Last year was pretty hard for me. It was very stressful. I started having panic attacks, and I was a little depressed. but I tried not to let that affect how I treated other people. And eventually I got into therapy, and I started realizing that that was a strength of mine, to take my bad stuff and try to make sure that I didn't make that bad stuff for other people. If I saw somebody having the same kind of problems with that I did, I would be like, I got you, I know what it's like, but here's what happens after all that. But until I figured that out, I was really lost. I didn't recognize who I was. I felt like I was just this sad person all the time, and I didn't know what to do. So my therapist told me something that was very helpful. It's something that I will live by for the rest of my life. He said, don't hold on to who you were, and instead embrace who you are. And I think that's something that's very important for all of us, because we will always be changing. We will constantly be changing. When you're 17, you're not the same as when you're 25, or when you have a kid, or when they go to college, or, you change, and that's okay. You have to accept that and embrace it and find the joy in it. And you have to, when we give our time and talent, it might change. You give the joy that you have now, and then when that's not there anymore, you give the joy that you have later. And I think that's something really important that we should remember. Because of all this reflection that I went through in the last year, I was very impacted by this book we read in English. It's called This I Believe. I don't know if you guys have ever read it. There's several versions and copies of the book. It's a book where they basically ask a bunch of people, and they're not all super famous, but some of them are just scholars or professors or just people. And they write a short essay about something that they believe. And one that really struck me was, it was called Be Cool to the Pizza Dude. And it was a simple way to explain how they believed you should treat other people. It was, if they cut you off in traffic, it's not because they hate you, it's because they are stressed and they're in a hurry. Now, that doesn't mean they should do it, but you can't, I guess my point is, you can't assume that when people do things that hurt you, that they're doing it because they want to hurt you. Sometimes it's just because they're hurting too, or they're afraid or stressed out. And I feel like instead of putting more hurt and stress and hate into the world, we should try to put joy and love and life into the world. You can't take everything that happens that's bad to you and say, this happened on purpose. Sometimes things happen, and sometimes that's because we have a lesson to learn, or we have just a life process that we have to go through. I know when I go to college, I'm going to cry, but I'm going to love it too. It's not going to be perfect, but it's something that I have to do. And I feel like when we go through things in our life, we have to remember that sometimes that's just what you have to do. And instead of making it negative, you need to find a way to make it the best thing possible. And that won't always be a perfect thing, but it doesn't have to be the worst thing that ever happened to you in your entire life. And also, another thing I realized when I was reading this book was I have a passion for equality. I cannot tell you how much I detest when people use the underclassmen terminology in high school. They're like, I'm a senior, I can do whatever I want. I'm like, actually, you were a junior last year, not even a full year ago, so they're like the same person as you, so it's okay. But an example, my friend, we'll call him Bob, because I don't want to embarrass him if he comes around ever. We'll call him Bob. We were eating lunch, And he, at the time, was a sophomore that was in our advanced choir, which it was a big deal, but when you're a guy, it's a lot easier to get in than if you're a girl singer, because there's fewer of them. I'm not kidding, there's fewer of them. But his class, as far as in the Youth Performing Arts School, is not as strong. And we had to go to Allstate, and we had to room with each other, and our director usually rooms people, he tries to room the grade levels together just because that's easier, you're friends with them, And he was complaining about having to room with the other sophomores, and I was just like, you are a sophomore. Why does it matter? And I got kind of mad at him, but I tried to hold it in, but I was just like, just because you're in this choir does not mean that you're better than this person. And I was like, I'm not better than that person. He's not better than her. Just because of how smart you are, how much money you make, where you're from, what your hair looks like, we are all just people. And we had to write essays on our English book, and I wrote something similar to that. In the Bible, it says, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. It doesn't say ashes to ashes, dust to dust, and then the special people get to go from gold dust to pizza crust. No, it does not say that. Does not say that. Okay? We're all human. We all started as babies and grew up to be children and grew up to be young adults and then parents. Well, not everybody was parents, but usually the people who aren't parents have pets or something, so it's the same thing. But we all were in diapers. We all drooled. We all had to learn how to talk. We all blink, sleep, eat, drink, cry, and we all die eventually. And that is what symbolizes that we are the same. If we were different and better or worse, don't you think those things would be different? But they're not, because we are all human and we are all equal. We're supposed to love God, and He is in all things. So we're supposed to love all things. If we judge each other, we're judging God, and God is the only person who can judge us. When we judge, we are replacing a piece of Him that's supposed to be in here. I have to remind myself that sometimes. And I have to think, what am I putting into the world? Judgment or joy? We all make mistakes. And they may not be the same, but they're still mistakes. And we all have sinned. They may not be the same, but they're still sins. But that's okay. But we can't judge each other, say, oh, well, I didn't do that, so I'm good. Because we all make mistakes. One mistake is not worse than the other. One choice is not better than the other. There is no such thing as a perfect choice. There's just different ones. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I don't know, it'd be pretty cool if we went from gold dust to pizza crust. That'd be pretty cool. I would enjoy it. Or maybe quiche to macaroni. That would be awesome. Yes. But anyways, one thing I love about today, Mother's Day is very special. But what makes it the most special? 2 reasons. You get to see the people that brought the joy into the world. The joy. And we also get to see, through the joy and through the creators, how we are all equal. Because no matter who you are, you came from a mother. Amen.